the French are pretty much known for their cuisine and their
I mean, of
snootiness,
course,
but also their cuisine.
that goes without saying. And even he doesn't need to say it to this person that he's talking to, who's probably someone that was born after 2000.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what France is.
He doesn't even know what William Sonoma is. He doesn't know what France is.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our Last of Us reaction recap. I think we're calling it now. I'm Phil, along with Joe,
Hey, everyone.
and we're talking about episode four.
Is this 4?
I think it's 4. Yeah,
Episode 4. Did you know? I heard there's only 7.
there's only 7.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was shocking. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, or really more than halfway through this. I couldn't believe it. Like, because she hasn't killed anybody yet. She hasn't.
Well, I mean, we'll get to it, but I think some people definitely die in this episode.
Yeah, but they're no names. They're they're inconsequential. They're not on her list. Needless to say, spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
What are we spoiling here? How far are we going?
So everything from Last of Us, the TV show, up until this episode, so episode 4 of season 2, and anything from the first game up until the game in this point. Less so that because I have not played any more of The Last of Us Part 2 yet, so my memory might not be right.
Okay. That's fair. This is episode 4, day 1. I watched this twice. I watched it once as it aired on HBO. And I feel like it said day 1 right up front. Like, it said Seattle quarantine zone, day 1.
Yeah.
It did. Okay. The second time I watched it, I don't think it said that. And I was like, what is happening? But I haven't seen anyone else talk about this online, so I must have been losing my mind. So you have to forgive me. We've been talking about Thunderbolts. You and I have been talking about Thunderbolts a lot.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for the past like 2 days, and a little bit before we came on to record this. So it's going on 3 days, and I think we're recording something tomorrow, so that'll be 4 days.
It's terrible because we will talk about Thunderbolts, and then we'll get to an end, and we'll be like, I have nothing more to say about Thunderbolts. And then the next day we'll be like, you know what? I was thinking about Thunderbolts. I got a few things I want to say. But we're not talking about that now.
We're talking Last of Us.
We're talking about The Last of Us, episode 4, day 1. It starts off in 2018. It does, at the bottom of the screen, it says 2018 Seattle quarantine zone. And we see who? Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. I was not a Nickelodeon. Is he Nickelodeon? I was not a Nickelodeon kid in that era because I was a young adult in that era.
I was going to say, we were probably too old for that era.
Yeah, we missed it. Although I have enjoyed Josh Peck in other things after that. So it was nice to see him. And it was nice, it's nice that they you don't see any recognizable faces pop up. So, or if you do, they're major characters. So to see one pop up and pop away so fast was pretty cool. They are Federer soldiers, and they're in a transport vehicle. And there's maybe 10 people in there.
Yeah.
And they are rolling down the street, and they're talking about voters, or who they call voters. I mean, at first when I was watching this scene, I wasn't sure exactly what was going on. I wasn't sure, like, what the situation was, what was happening in that part of the country in this time. But they are part of Fedra who have been bullying, taking over, and running these different areas, and they're in Seattle, running Seattle. And they have a conversation in the car about how they treat the people. We get stuff like they took away their right to vote. They mock them. They're basically like, they have these complexes now, like where they bully everybody. And they're joking. They're in the truck joking about it. I might not be explaining this so great.
You're doing great. Like,
Okay.
You're right. They're making fun. So the one character is telling an anecdote about his superior officer like bullying a citizen, and they're all laughing about it. And the other characters, why do we call them voters? And then we see
Jeffrey Wright.
Yes, because I could not remember his name.
It's Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, and he plays Isaac Dixon, who is game character. Is that right?
He is so. You will find this out a little bit later that Isaac is well. So I'm not gonna say just yet because I don't know if we know it in the show or if I know it from the
Okay.
game.
Okay. Your
Um,
your worlds
he-
are colliding.
yeah,
You're not.
I am everything everywhere all at once with the game and the show. I don't know what's real anymore.
Man, if you just whipped up some hot dog fingers.
But he's
uh,
needless to say, he's an important character that we'll find out more about.
Terrific. And he is disgusted with not with this group, how they're talking. They're idolizing this guy Greenberg who's not there, and he's like, you're all Greenbergs. You're all terrible, basically. I mean, he doesn't say it to him then, but he's disgusted with them, and he's disgusted, we find out, with Fedra as a whole, how they're handling running this part of the country. They pull up to, or they get stopped, and we see that there's a group of people outside. He goes out alone and then invites somebody with him. I want to say the guy's name is Burton.
Yeah, I don't know his name specifically, but um, as I was watching that actor's performance, I was like, if this was 10 years ago, that would be Ethan Embry.
Oh,
Like he's
like,
like he has like a very Ethan Embry like naive like wide-eyed look.
oh, you're talking about professional doofus, like that
Yes.
Ethan Embry, who is
Yeah,
not a doofus in real life, but who played him so well. Yeah,
like 10 years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, no, yeah, he definitely has a "my name is Earl" brother look as he comes. Jeffrey Wright invites him to come along. He's like, "This is a learning lesson." They come out and they meet a woman named I had to pull up the titles because it was a name I'd never heard before. I'm not even saying. I'm sure I'm saying it right, even though he says it to her. Uh, and they don't know each other, so they're just like, "Are you Isaac? Are you Hanuran?" They shake hands. They have a silent conversation where they nod and then Isaac goes back and throws a grenade inside the truck, shuts the doors, and everyone dies except the driver who crawls out and is then shot. Why did he kill the driver? Like, was the driver laughing along too? Um, he was just done with Fedra,
Yeah,
I
I mean it
guess.
seems like it.
Yeah. And then in the coolest way, he turns to this other guy that he had, whose life he just saved, and he says, now you make your choice." And then credits roll before we can find out what his choice is, but we assume it's going to be, "I'm with you."
Well, it's either one of two things. It's either I'm with you or I'm dead.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like if he's like, "I'm not with you," then there's like a mob of people that are just going to take him out. But even though he has an automatic weapon, credits roll, and then we're back in our timeline. We see Dina crawling through a hole in a pharmacy wall or door, and she's just looking for medication. And she's just looking around. She can't find anything. In this scene, I noticed the flashlight more than I normally do, and I'm thinking batteries can't be good. They don't last forever, right? Have we talked about the battery situation in The Last of Us?
I don't remember that we've talked about batteries specifically, but we have definitely mentioned before how scarce things should be,
Yeah.
and they are in the game. Like this whole section where Dina is like scavenging for things, like happens in the game. There's a lot of times in the game where there'll be that little icon that shows you can interact with something, and it's a drawer or like cabinet or whatever, and you pull it open, and it's almost always empty.
Really?
Yeah,
They're like, "Hey, come on over here." Psych.
yeah. It's almost always empty. Like the higher difficulty levels you go, the more empty they are.
Oh, they're like, "You found nothing."
Well, so if I could take a game break for a second, um, the difficulty levels are so good. In the game, you get melee weapons, so a pipe or like a two by four or whatever, and each of those things has a durability level. Like a pipe is more
Okay.
durable than like a bat is more durable than like a two by four. So as you go up in levels of difficulty, the thing that you find changes. So it's no longer a steel pipe; it is a bat. If you go up another level, it's a two by four.
If you go up to the hardest level, it's like a dirty sock. You're just like slapping it against the mushroom guy's heads. That's terrible. He seemed really weird though. Like because just batteries don't last. And it just got me one. That's just something that stood out to me. Dina's not looking for batteries though. She's good to go. She has her flashlight at the brightest setting. She doesn't care. And she spots something that we don't get to see. And she's like, I have to pee, but then I'll meet you outside. A couple minutes later, she comes outside and she's acting weird, and Ellie notices it. And this is clue number one in this episode to Dina's situation. We can spoil it now and say that Dina is pregnant.
Dina is pregnant, yes. And I did not say anything in the last episode because there are clues there as well.
There sure are. She throws up when she sees the side eyes, which is not their name, but that's what I call them. And listeners are going to have to get used to that. I call them the side eyes because on the back, their symbol is an eye that's sideways. And side eye is way cooler of a name than what they're actually called. Anyway, when they find the slaughtered side eyes, she throws up, and it seemed weird for someone that is used to doing all this stuff. But then she mentions the smell. She's like, I think the smell got me, and I was like, oh, all right. Now, after this clue, I was like, all right, I see what's happening.
Yeah, and prior to that, even she mentions that she got back together with Jesse.
Right.
In the period between when Joel dies and then Ellie is out of the hospital, so a good 3 months.
Okay. Long enough to grow a baby for 3
Long
months.
enough to make a baby, at least.
That's true. Okay, so that's clue number one. To me, it was very clear at this point, but there are harder clues later and confirmation later. We'll get to it. The girls ride on. They go through Capitol Hill in Seattle, which is a famous part of Seattle. And as they're going through, they're saying to each other, oh, I thought this place was bombed. And, oh, yeah, I thought that too. I guess not here, because it looked livable. It looked,
Yeah.
I mean, it was overgrown and dirty, but it wasn't like rubble and whatever, dead bodies everywhere. They point out the pride flags everywhere in this part of town, but they don't say pride flags. They say, what's with all the rainbows? Yeah. And it's weird to have something that we recognize as representing them and being a positive thing, but they don't understand. Like they don't carry the same thing. They're really born into a world.
Yeah,
without that.
It's kind of similar to what happened in episode 7, I want to say, of last season. It's the flashback episode with, not gonna remember her name, Riley. I don't remember her name.
There you go.
Where they're in the mall, and they're looking at kind of vestiges of the previous world that they have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
Except for the arcade games.
They're all they
know all about those.
The instructions are right there. Kick. It says kick. It says punch. You get it. And when she asks her how to play, Riley says, "You just mash the buttons." I liked that though. That we're getting a glimpse at these people who were born after the disaster, and they're getting a glimpse of a world that they don't understand. They see a tank. They understand tanks.
Yes.
There was that fire in Ellie's eyes. She's like, I got to check out this tank. We haven't seen that fire since before she shot a gun for the first time. There are also dead bodies everywhere. Dead Fedra bodies. We see skeletons of Fedra soldiers. At first, I thought it was a callback to the very first scene. Like, are these the same? Is this 18 years of the same, of those people that were killed in that tank or in that carrier? But no, it's definitely clear that war was waged upon Fedra and these jerks lost. Anyway, she goes to look in the tank, makes a big noise. That's important because they basically set up that they're alone. The girls are safe here. No one's watching them. They can be a little noisy. And they spot the WLF logo on a tower nearby. And Ellie gets right to it. She's like, let's go. Let's get them. And then just like last episode, Dina is the practical voice of reason. And she really hits her with no, here's what we should do. And this is why we should do it. And she has an answer for everything. Ellie's like, all right. But I agree with you that we will wait until dark move in slowly and all this stuff. And she's like, all right, let's just find a place where we can get what's the horse's name?
Shimmer.
Yeah, where we can get Shimmer through the doors. And even that, Dina's like, I already found one.
What I like about this kind of dynamic is that Ellie is the driving force, but then Dina is the you said the voice of reason, but it's more like her her checks and balances, I guess, like
That's
to
good.
keep
Yeah.
her ambition in check or her driving force in check so that she's not going to hurt herself. Because she would, in fact, hurt herself if,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. That's totally true. Like checks and balances is a better way to describe it. And I love their relationship, their back and forth. How did Joel and Ellie survive as long as they did when they're both like these Ellie type of personalities that maybe do before they think? I guess Joel wasn't completely that way. He had been around the block once or twice, and he knew a bad situation when he saw it. But he was also impulsive, right? Or am I
So
misremembering?
like I think there's something to that. I do think it's like I think Ellie and Joel are a little bit different in that, and I think Tommy kind of explains it in the previous episode where um Ellie is almost driven by her emotions. Joel was killed, and immediately Ellie wants to kill who killed Joel. But Joel would not be the same way. Like his inclination would not be the same. I think they're similar in that, and there may be something to be said about kind of their age difference in that Joel is much older and Ellie is just was a teenager at that point. I guess she's still a teenager because she's 19, but more looking towards Joel for guidance and um, kind of relying on him
Sure.
more
And
so than she would now. And I guess we see that in the beginning of the season.
that's true. And to that, like Joel having someone that is relying on him can make that's the sort of thing that could make someone step up and be their best self in that sort of situation. So even if he was himself a little reckless, he's less so when he
Yeah,
had Ellie, like became connected to Ellie. Okay, that's it. We're done, right? We did it. We unpacked all of. No, okay.
all The Last of
Get
Us
back
done.
to it. All Last of Us. That's the last of Last of Us. Um, inside the tank are three burnt bodies, and she brings up the Apollo 1 disaster where uh, the astronauts during a test were killed inside of their uh,
Yeah, capsule.
cockpit capsule. Thank you. I love the nods to like the gentle reminders of her space lust, and I can't wait till season 3 when
When
they
she
get
goes
up to
into
space.
space.
Yes.
No spoilers. Sorry.
Confirmed. Confirmed.
Yeah.
Space. Last of Us space confirmed. Oh my god. They are alone. This area is abandoned. They then the place that Dina finds that's perfect for Shimmer is a record store, and they go in there. Um, long story short, Ellie goes upstairs. Uh, Dina says, "Shout if something tries to kill you." Uh, and Ellie says, "That's the plan." So this is like when they in the first episode when they were going to the supermarket. They're not afraid. They're comfortable around the monsters. Um, but then this leads to a section that's kind of from the
Well,
game.
it is from the game. Uh, Apparently, it is missable, although I fully explore every inch of every environment, so I did find it. I will say, as I'm looking through the records, I'm thinking to myself, records are probably a type of media that they could probably still play in this world. It's not like CDs or something like that.
Yeah, it's just grooves on vinyl. So yeah,
I question the fact that there's any kind of good music left because wouldn't all of the good music been taken by then?
absolutely. They would have been picked clean. Um, and what was in there? Like there was a Bob Marley record.
I
Everyone's
definitely
got
saw
that
Bob
anyway.
Marley. Yeah.
There was a Tears for Fears record, which based on what she's about to do seems right up her alley, to be honest. uh, yeah, you know what though? It did look kind of picked clean. Like she flips through, like there's only like 4 or 5 records in the section she flips through.
So I've been to a lot of um like garage sales and rummage sales where there are records, and they are universally crap. Like almost always universally crap. So that's the kind of stuff that I expect to be in a record store after the apocalypse.
They nailed it. 10 out of 10, no notes. You got the record store exactly right. Upstairs in the record store, Ellie turns a corner and she sees guitars on the wall, and I mean it's kind of a beautiful setting. Just it's like everything else, it's overgrown. There's grass and moss everywhere, but there's a hole in the wall, so the sun's kind of shining in the perfect way. And as she's looking at the guitars, we hear like a variation on the theme. I wanted to say it was Joel's theme, but I don't think it was. I think it was just a variation on the main title's theme. But it was, to me, it was very much like, hey, remember Joel and Ellie? uh, so he gets an official shout out later in this scene, but to me, it felt like that. Dina hears her tuning the guitar, so she sneaks up to listen as she starts playing the worst song that could have played. I only say that because I ragged on this earlier. I feel bad. I ragged on this when it first showed up in episode
7, right?
7, same one, the Riley one.
Yeah.
It was like an Aha greatest hits cassette, and I said Aha has one great song.
I mean, I don't like I love Aha's Take on Me. They're one good
Everyone
song.
does.
But like I think the fact that they have a greatest hits cassette is a little presumptuous.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, when she started playing this, I was like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Last of Us. They're totally messing with me. It was beautiful. Like the scenery and everything, but like Bella Ramsey's actual singing and actual playing was terrific. And Dina, Isabella, what's her name? Isabella
Merced.
something. Percent. She, again, at the same time, just the look on her face as she's like confirming to us that she's falling in love with Ellie
Yeah,
is
she
wonderful.
doesn't have a word to say in this whole sequence, and it's all done in her face, which is great.
It was great. It was beautiful. And they're both named Bella in
Oh
real
yeah,
life.
they
Um,
are both named Bella in some way.
Delightful.
I
Really
will
beautiful
mention
scene.
though,
Okay, good.
I will mention that when Ellie finds the guitar, she opens up a guitar case, she pulls out something and kisses it.
Yeah, that was funny.
So if we remember back to episode 1, I think it's one
Also,
of this season. Um, when Joel and Ellie have that kind of awkward interaction where she's working at her workbench, and then Joel's like, "Hey, your guitar strings are broken. I'm gonna take this."
bye.
Yeah. So I believe she takes guitar strings.
No, the thing she kisses?
Yeah.
No, I think. Okay, I could be wrong. My interpretation was all the guitars are wrecked. They're like damaged, like by environment. Inside there was a pristine. It's like she opens a case and inside was a pristine guitar with the like things anti mildew, anti the stuff that keeps it dry. Like the stuff that you find in like if you have furniture delivered to your house, it's in that box, that sort of thing.
Oh.
That's what I thought it was. And then she's like, oh, thank you for keeping this guitar in perfect condition. But I could be wrong. It could be strings. And that would be a nice like another nice little nod back to Joel if it's true. She plays a song. Dina's like, that was great. You've been getting really good. And she just confirms that like, oh, Joel taught me. And it was nice to get that a verbal for her to say his name again. Because it's real easy to go through this journey with them, with the two, with Ellie and Dina, and forget about Joel. Like, even though it's why they're on the journey,
Yeah.
like it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm invested in this, and to forget about why they're there in the first place. Is that part good in the game? Is it? I mean, it's pretty much the same, right?
It's more or less the same. Uh, at this point in the game, not Joel, sorry, Ellie and Dina's relationship is a little bit different.
Okay.
Um, they've progressed a little bit further than what they are currently in the show.
Well, I'm gonna have questions then for the final scene
Yes.
and how that lines up. Okay, we cut to Isaac in the present. This is our first time seeing him in the present day, and he's at a stove. He's at a burner, and he's turning the burner on, and he's going on and on about pots.
Yes, he is.
Really fun monologue, basically, um, where he talks about how he was shy to talk to girls, and he learned to become a good cook so he could impress them that way, and he always wanted these ridiculously expensive pots. So Isaac is going on and on about the pots, and he gets the brand name for him. I can't remember offhand, but then he's like, he says French, of course, and I was like, ugh, like this is the first time where I'm like, I love Jeffrey Wright, and this is the first time where for this character I was like, I don't know about this guy. Like he was starting to,
Well, I mean, if you have really good cookware, it's probably going to be French because
oh my,
the
this is the first time it's with you. I'm like, ugh.
because the French are pretty much known for their cuisine and their
I mean, of
snootiness,
course,
but also their cuisine. Um, but
that goes without saying. And even he doesn't need to say it to this person that he's talking to, who's probably someone that was born after 2000.
yeah, he doesn't even know what France is.
He doesn't even know what William Sonoma is. He doesn't know what France is. All right. So I was getting a little disgusted with him, and he's like, wait. Let me cook. And then he heats up the pan, and he's going to use it to torture this guy.
Yeah,
Is
I don't know that
this,
we get his name.
I don't think we do. I agree. We get everything else about him, though. Bro
Yeah,
is all out there. He's one of the side eyes. What are they really called?
so their official name is the Seraphites, but the WLF call them the Scars.
Right. That's their slur for them. Is the scars, because we hear that a lot in this scene. Seraphites. Okay. I like side eyes better, but whatever. I'll try to be more respectful towards a religious organization. Um, we learned a lot about that organization here, though, that they are sort of a rival for WLF, and even though they're introduced to us as like a family and a religion, and kind of they have peaceful vibes, walking down the road, whistling, and taking care of each other. I think that's how we're introduced to them. But it sounds like they're just as violent and
Yeah.
bloodthirsty as
I
the
mean,
other
we
groups.
definitely see uh, kind of evidence of that later on in this episode, but it's interesting that the show decided to show us the Seraphites in a peaceful way first,
It's weird. It's
because
strange.
it's not necessarily how are first introduced to them in the game.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So, and and in the scene, we kind of hear some of the backstory about their battles, their war with the WLF. So the WLF and the Seraphites have been battling for a while now. Isaac basically says, chicken or egg, like who
Yeah.
fired first? We don't even know anymore. We're just fighting now.
Yeah. Which is frustrating because he seemed in the beginning of the episode, in the 18-year-old flashback, like a guy that respected honor, respected justice, respected doing things the quote unquote right way, like, being fair. But he seems to be a guy that's gone a little drunk with power, or I don't know. He seems changed for sure. But we're only getting a peek at it. He uses his hot pans to burn this guy, and to try and threaten him. What he wants us to know is where the side eyes are the side eyes are going to attack next. I'm not even going to try. Sorry. And the guy won't give it up. This guy is really
He's very
like
devout.
super devout. He's referencing his is it a deity like that they like this woman they thought that was a did they think she was a god or just a prophet?
So Um, trying to choose my words very carefully. She was a woman. In the game, she was a woman that led these people,
Okay.
and they called her a prophet. Some people kind of idolized her and made her an idea, basically. Like she was a person who is now an idea. Um, Kind of in the way that most religions work. There's a religious leader, and then that person dies, and then that their teachings kind of continue on past them, but the people who come further down don't necessarily know the person. They know the teachings, and they have this idea of who this person is, and they begin to idolize them.
Okay. So this woman's been dead for a while.
I think we hear in the previous episode when we see the people walking down the road, they say at least 10 years, I want to
Yeah,
say.
I thought I heard that too. Okay, that's good to know. The other juicy bit of information that we get here, something that leads towards Isaac getting super frustrated, is that Isaac's like, we have automatic weapons, we have hospitals, you have bow and arrow and pellet guns, and how do you think you're going to defeat us? And the guy explains how every day one of your Washington Liberation Front joins us. Never does a Seraphite, join the Washington Liberation Front, which just says that like the people of the WLF are frustrated and not taken care of. And I mean, it's like I kind of mentioned it yesterday or last episode rather, when we see Manny up in the tower. He's like, you could feel discontent. You could feel just kind of like, eh. So I feel like this is just another nod to that. And then uh, Isaac is super angry, so he grabs his pot again and he turns around, but Bro is just like, "Yeah, give it right here. Let's go." Um, and he gets so frustrated that he just shoots the guy. And outside is the guy from the beginning.
Ethan Embry.
Ethan Embry is outside, saying, "I saw a sailboat." Um, no, either Embry's outside. No, I was thinking Ethan Suplee. But you're right, it's Ethan Embry, the guy from Empire Records and uh, Vegas Vacation and Can't Hardly Wait. I was mixing my Ethans up for
Yeah, I had
that
not
earlier.
seen all of my names are also. I was not sure that he was in it.
Oh my god, I look so stupid. He was a. I feel very silly.
That's fine.
Quick sidebar. I just watched a movie called Last Seen Alive with Gerard Butler and the lovely actress that plays Lady Sif
Jamie
and
Alexander.
Jamie Alexander. That sounds good. That sounds right. And Ethan Embry pops up in that, and he's completely different now. Like he's got a beard, he's grizzled, he's like a
Yeah, like I said, 10 years ago,
10
he was
years ago.
completely different.
All right,
Maybe
apologies
20 years
to
ago.
for everybody in the beginning of this podcast that was like, this guy doesn't know who Ethan Embry is. I know who he is. I just mixed him up with the Ethan Suplee, who's great.
They're both great.
Yeah, they're both great. Not, I've never met a bad Ethan. Ethan Hunt. Yeah, that's all I know. Just those three, the fictional character and those two actors that are cool. Uh, the guy the Ethan Embry guy, is he in the game, or is he a stand-in for many people in the game?
So as far as I know, he's not in the game. Um, it, I think I've mentioned previous episodes that you control both Ellie and Abby in the second game. So if they're not directly interacting with anybody in the show, it's probably not from the game. So
Right. Yeah.
although there is a scene where Isaac tortures somebody, a Seraphite, a little bit differently. So that is from the game, but we don't see Abby or Ellie in this scene, and the guards outside.
That's tricky storytelling, but I'm glad we got to see this scene because it was a good one. And more Jeffrey Wright is always a good thing. We then cut back to the girls who it's now nighttime and they're planning their way into the city, deeper into the
Infiltration.
yeah, their infiltration. And I love it. They call out like, "Oh, We gotta go up there and climb through this window that somebody already went through. They can see that somebody has broken into this building, and they're like, we can follow the same path, and they do, and they find a body filled with arrows. And I thought, aren't arrows hard to make? Like, why would you leave them there? Like, for these Seraphite, is that right?
Yeah, you got it.
I got it now. I got it. For the Seraphites, like, it probably took someone an afternoon to make those 6 arrows or 4 hours or whatever it is that's in the sky. Like, it can't be easy. And I was surprised that they left them there. These girls are surprised too. They're like, this is pretty messed up. They go deeper into it, and it's a TV station. I guess that
It is,
explains the dish.
yeah.
There's a satellite dish on the top. And we get into the newsroom of the TV station, and that's, will you explain what's in there and explain how it's presented in the game too?
So it's very similar to what is presented in the game. It is a it is a news desk, or like a newsroom full of bodies that are hanging from the rafters, I guess,
Yeah.
disemboweled.
Ugh.
It is a grisly scene, and they mentioned this in the show that this has happened very recently. There's been some sort of conflict at this uh, TV station. Presumably, it's a Seraphites, because we see their symbol, the side eye, written in blood, and I believe the also written in blood is "Feel her love." I think that's what it says, something like that.
Sounds like a great song. Feel her love.
And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. See the Seraphites as kind of, peace loving, family walking down the road, but now we see they're just as violent as the WLF is.
Is that a comment that we're all the same deep down, even if we present differently? Like, we're still just like willing to
I
take it to
mean,
this level.
I think there's definitely something to that, in that you can see it even in Joel, or not Joel, sorry. I keep saying Joel because I keep thinking that he's in this show, but he's not anymore because he's dead. Spoilers, by the
Yeah. Spoilers, by the
way. So Ellie and Abby's story is kind of reflected in the WLF and the Seraphite story now, because there's some conflict between Abby and Ellie now. Abby doesn't necessarily know that yet. Ellie definitely does. And Ellie doesn't know Abby's story either. So they're in direct conflict with one another now, um, in the same way that the Seraphites and the WLF are, because they're in conflict with one another, and like they're horribly violent to each other, for a reason that I don't necessarily know that we find out in the game,
Okay. Oh,
or
wow.
at least I don't remember it.
I mean, they boil it up in the show. It's boiled down to just a power struggle. Like, and I think that people will accept that. Like, I accepted that. I was like, oh, they just both want to be in control, or they both don't want the other people to not be there.
Yeah, so again, it's similar to Abby and Ellie's story, in that they're at odds with each other, and who started it?
Yeah.
In Ellie's mind, Abby started it because Abby killed Joel.
Right.
But in Abby's mind, Joel started it, I guess, because Joel killed her father.
And the Fireflies as a whole.
And the Fireflies, but mostly her father. I think she's mostly concerned with her father at this point.
Inside the TV station, the people are strung up. Dina throws up again, clue number 2. Ellie sees the markings, as you said, and identifies that, oh, the people that we saw in the woods did this. And Dina says, what the fuck is wrong with Seattle?
There's definitely a similar line in the game, which is
Right.
probably like one of the best lines.
It totally fits. um the WLF bros come in, and they're finding the bodies for the first time. Apparently they were called, it seems that they were called to come to the room, and then bursting through the doors and the girls hiding immediately leads to a great, like, a hiding sequence, which I imagine that could have been done in the game too, where you're kind of sneaking and trying not to be seen.
Yeah.
um it ends with Ellie running up. She goes up the stairs, and so there's a guy that's like, stairs are clear, and then he looks at the camera and he's like, no, they're not. Uh, it's like, I know someone went up there. I got the impression he knew someone was up there, but he goes up there to investigate the second floor, and we get to see those Krav Maga skills that Ellie or jujitsu or whatever it is. I feel silly trying to identify it, but she unleashes on him and really gets him in a hold, and like he's like, what the hell's going on? uh, and basically attention is called up, like and another bad guy comes up.
Yeah. So I think it's worth pointing out that this WLF member is expecting a Seraphite up
Oh,
there
interesting. You're right. Yeah.
because that's they see the symbol and they've been in conflict with the Seraphites. So he's going up there thinking it's a Seraphite, and I mean presumably they don't teach Seraphites the martial arts.
Sure. So he's completely taken aback. Yeah. And if you were part of a group that had automatic weapons, you probably wouldn't be learning the martial arts either. It's a dying art form. You got to really stick with it, though. Uh, uh, so another guy comes up and he pulls out his gun and he's about to shoot Ellie, but Dina saves the day and shoots him in the back of the head. And then Ellie says, "Shoot that window so we can get out." Because when she first got up there was a window and it was locked. She kills her guy too, and as she's killing these guys, I'm like, well, what are their kids gonna say about this? Are they gonna come for you now? Like, how are we supposed to think about this? I mean, I glossed over it, but before they go in there, Dina confirms, she's like, if we come across WLF members that are not part of the core team that we're looking for, how are we going to handle that? And they both kind of go like, like they agree that the murders will take place. And I know we're supposed to be challenged by this, but it is challenging. Like
Yeah.
as advertised, it's very challenging. Uh, the girls go out the window and escape into the subway. Let's say we can fit, but they can't. So they kill these two guys and they jump through the window and they escape into the subway. Because they can fit, but the other guys can't. And they're running back through the subway. And this is a cool scene. This is like, it opens up into like an underground subway station with um, a crashed train and just darkness. The darkness is soon filled with these red flares that WLF guys are throwing around. And then it's filled by the sound of clicking.
Yeah.
And we get to see a very cool sequence where Dina does her counting.
Yeah, it's a callback to episode 1, I believe, where
Mm-hmm.
at that point, Dina's counting off. There's 2 clickers and there's 2 of them, so easy peasy lemon squeezy. They can both take care of the clickers. But this is I think she gets up to 4 or 5 and then doesn't bother counting at all.
I swear to God, like the looks on their faces as she's counting is just like sheer terror. And this is from 2 people that are not at all afraid of these monsters. But the look on their face is sheer terror as Dina goes. It just keeps going. She's counting.
Took off our shoes and
Yeah, she
socks.
took off her shoe. Yeah. She grabbed Ellie's arm. She's like, so it was fun. It was to see that. It was really well done. And then boom, I didn't clearly explain it, the WLF guys were down there too, and the girls were hiding and counting. But then it's like someone turns on a faucet of zombies, and they just come pouring out. And what was kind of cool is that it was far away. We got to see it from the girls' perspective. They were maybe 50 yards away, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Wherever
we get
that
to
is.
see this. Yeah, yeah. So we get to see this faucet of zombies of cordyceps kind of flood the room, and it immediately start attacking the WLF people who are closer. And then we see them turn towards the girls and chase them. Something I noticed here is that Dina was very hesitant. She was like looking back. She was scared. Do you think this has anything to do with the pregnancy? Or is this just more than she's ever seen before? More
I mean, it
madness.
could be due to the pregnancy. It's definitely more than she's ever seen before because she wasn't present for the Battle of Jackson. Neither was Ellie actually. So neither of
Yeah, that's
them
true.
saw that onslaught of infected.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, people at Jackson are like, I've been through some stuff. You were up in the cabin.
what were you doing?
Yeah, what were you I was watching Joel die. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. A day later, like, I found out you were unconscious. All right, so they get chased onto inside the train, and inside the train is just dead bodies. Um, and it's very reminiscent of the fence sequence where they have to get from point like one end of the
Mhm.
train to the other end of the train, and cordyceps are popping through the windows, and like it's very threatening. It's a cool scene. Um, did you enjoy the scene?
I mean, I did. It, it's definitely almost directly from the game. I do remember like being in the subway area and then like running between a clicker and a WF member so that they would go at it.
You can lead them into each other. That's great.
So
Oh
it's
my
it's I
god.
mean you're fighting the WLF like as you are in the show, but then the clickers or the infected start showing up, and it's like I distinctly remember like wanting them to take each other out because I wanted to conserve my ammo because again empty drawers constantly, so conserving my ammo just weaving in and out. I mean I died a lot, but you can restart.
Eventually you get through it. Yeah. It's interesting. Like I'm making a big deal about the two people they killed in that room, but we're talking about a game where Ellie is the new Joel. So her body count went from 2 to 250.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely up there, definitely in the double
Yeah.
digits, if not in triple digits.
Crazy. Crazy. Um, oh, this is great. Oh, as she's shooting, Ellie's shooting in the subway car before Dina lifts her up with her pregnant mom strength, I guess. um, was it Joel's gun? Like,
I
I found myself wondering.
I don't think it is Joel's gun. I think Joel's gun was a revolver. The one that you're talking about, the one from the bed, right? In the previous
Was it?
episode.
Oh, it might be, yeah. No, the one that she's constantly cleaning and working with, yeah.
Oh,
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
It looked like a big gun, and but you're right. It probably is not. Okay, this gets to the turnstile sequence where they're trying to get through a rusty old turnstile that won't turn. And Ellie gets bit.
Yeah. So the setup of this is Ellie has like run face first into this turnstile and it won't move, and she gets it turning a little bit so that gets in the next section and like they start pushing together. So Ellie is through on the other side, and then Dina's still stuck with an infect coming at her.
Right. And Ellie reaches through to take the bite that would have bit Dina. And then they're able to push the turnstile the rest of the way through. And I was like, this is still not going to be good. Like they're just going to follow them right through. But these ding dongs hit the turnstile both sides. Rookie mistake. And it is kind of funny to see them just sort of like, like trying to like muscle through. It's like, oh, you dumb zombies, you can't get through there. It was a cool sequence and really exciting the way it sets up what happens next with that bite. The girls go to a theater. Uh, uh, Ellie is in preservation mode. She's like, I'll bar the door. You know, like we should be good here. We'll just lay low. Dina is
D-
devastated.
Dina is Tess and Joel from episode 2, I think.
Yeah. Well, not yet. She will be in the morning, but she's devastated. She thinks she has to kill Ellie. And then Ellie's like, oh, right, the bite. Oh, right. um, and actually, it was a really great scene from both of them. I feel like Bella Ramsey, like the kind of like, she's almost jolted to like, well, what do I do now? What do I say? And
Yeah.
she explains that she's immune. I wouldn't believe me either, but it's the truth. And her plan is her plan's kind of weak. It's like, I'm gonna bandage it up and I'll go to sleep. You keep the gun on me as long as you can stay far back as you can, and you'll see I'll be fine. It's like her plan is basically, I'm gonna go rest up. You
Yeah.
stay awake all night.
You do you. I'm
You
going
do
to
you.
sleep.
You be you. I'll be me over there. So she goes to sleep, and then we join her, like as she's waking up later on, and all we see is the flashlight pointed at her. And Ellie's like, no, 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 some water hit my face. I'm not a zombie. And she starts for like a minute. She's trying to explain, like, I'm not infected. Here, take a look at the wound. And the most shocking, the craziest thing about this moment in the show for me was that flashlight. Like, we couldn't see Dina's face.
Yeah, I thought that was a great shot of because I believe the only thing you can see is the flashlight and the gun.
Right. And you can see her react to stuff. Like, you can see the gun move, of course, as Ellie's, like, if she moves forward, like the gun goes up a little. Um, but it's totally a scene, like a shot in a movie where it's a shot where if this were a movie that was only an hour and a half long, Dina would have been a zombie holding a gun and a flashlight. Like the whole thing where like the flashlight comes down and she's changed is a very horror movie friendly shot. But as it comes down, she is Tess and Joel from episode 2, where she hasn't slept. She's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
She's scared and
She's been holding
confused.
this gun up for God knows how many hours.
Yeah. So yeah, she's just devastated. And then the sleep deprivation makes her shout out, boom, I'm pregnant.
Pregnant. Yes. The
Does
confirmation
this
of what
okay. Yeah, confirmation. Clues are all in. The evidence has been presented. Dina is pregnant. Um, she's pregnant in the game, yes or no?
she is pregnant in the game, yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask if Ellie finds out here, but let's talk about what happens next because it happens so quickly. She says he's pregnant, and they're overwhelmed with
Emotion.
emotion is the right word. I was going to say love, but like passion, but it's true. It's just these are two teenage girls that are filled with emotion, and they act upon that passion and emotion. And it's crazy because they're like they've been through hell. They've crawled through a sewer, and like it's not an ideal first love making scenario.
Yeah.
Like if
There's
you go
not
to
even a
those,
bed.
no, there's no bed. Yeah, they're on the floor of a dirty movie theater, or dirty theater lobby. Uh, but yeah, it's like if you go to like one of those romantic hotels where they have theme rooms, this is not one of the theme rooms.
I mean, it may be now.
God, can you imagine? They're like, can I have the dirty zombie room, please?
Well,
And can you
think
make
about
me
the
dirty too?
think about the like. There's no overhead because you don't have to pay for a bed. You don't have to pay for cleaning. Like,
And yeah. Oh
come
God.
on, man.
Like people
Come
use the
on.
room, and you're just like, this is just getting better and better. It's just dirtier and dirtier. All right. So they make love, and then they do fall asleep together in each other's arms, and it's the next morning. And they're totally cutesy. Like Dina doesn't want to kiss because she hasn't brushed her teeth, and it turns out even though she has perfect teeth, she doesn't brush her teeth anyway because her idea of brushing teeth is to eat beef jerky. And oh my God, can you imagine beef jerky toothpaste? That's a winner. Um, but they're totally cutesy, and we get a ton of a backstory on um, their relationship coming together, and Dina's past, and like how she came to understand that she liked boys and girls, and how her mother kind of tried to shut that down, things like that. So
Yeah.
it's great. We find out all good stuff about how these two were apart and eventually came together. Um, is any of this like the game?
So they actually they make love for the first time before they leave Jackson, before Joel gets killed.
Oh, wait, do they do it that same night?
It's not that same night because they actually have that conversation about the kiss where they were. So the
Right.
conversation about the kiss from the tent in the last episode happens in the same sequence in the
Okay.
game. So it is um prior to Joel dying. It is during the storm sequence when they find Eugene's
Although that's where it goes
platform.
down, and that's
Yeah,
where they
basically.
amongst the weed, amongst
So
the dried out weed.
they're basically sheltering in place in this weed farm that they found, and so they pass the time, and then so this is an interesting. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to have this conversation. They might have it a little bit in the next episode, although I feel like there's probably not a whole lot of time for that. Like so, Dina tells a story about I forget something about her scars or whatnot, and then Ellie tells
That's right.
the story about her tattoos and the chemical burn, and she says, "I was bit here," and then Dina's like, "Come on, I told you a real story. You can't tell me a real story." She doesn't believe her.
Wait, so is this before the bite? Like it? Oh, so wait. So Dina doesn't witness Ellie get bit ever.
Not so. This was the original bite,
Right,
the
right, right.
bite from season one, that Ellie is talking about. So I honestly can't remember if Ellie gets bit in the game prior to this, the theater scenes.
Okay.
There definitely is. Um, so in the game, spores are a thing. So that's a way that people can get infected. They breathe in the spores infect them, and they turn. So they're constantly wearing gas masks in the game. Like every time they go through an area that is in fact like that has a lot of spores, they'll put on a gas mask. In the game, I believe Dina's breaks, her gas mask breaks, and Ellie takes off her gas mask and puts it on Dina.
Wow. That's
Um,
pretty cool.
so Ellie is like breathing these spores in, and Dina is like it kind of has a similar reaction, although I don't think as visceral as in the show, where like she's like, "I have to kill you now."
I'm curious to see it because it works. What they do in the show works so well, and it's a great way to elevate the tension and then hyper jump the characters through their arc. It's an instant. It's like they're bonded in a way now that you know few people are. Really wonderful, really terrific. On the radio, they hear some activity. Two things are mentioned: that there's something going on in Lake Hill, and that to let Nora know that they're injured or coming in. So we know Nora from episode 2. She was the doctor,
She was the medic,
the
yeah,
medic. Um, so but that totally dings Ellie and Dina. They know that she's one of the names, and it's not so much like, oh, we can find Nora and kill Nora, but they're like, Nora probably knows where Abby is, and we can kill them both. And they don't say it like that, but they're thinking it. Um, but they go to the roof, and Dina is able to figure out that Lake Hill is this place that they can see. Um, again, it's far away, so we don't get like a big explosion. We just get the distant explosion, but still super effective. And we hear like shots going off and stuff. I don't even know what's going on. Are they fighting infected? Is it the uh, oh, it's the side eyes probably in their latest attack. If only his pots and pans approach had worked, then the lives that could have been saved. Um, but the big takeaway from this is they now know the direction they need to go, and Ellie gives Dina an out. She says, everything's changed. Oh, we sh- things are different now. We should also say earlier she says, I'm going to be a dad, and it's charming as hell. But she knows that now she now is in protecting mode for Dina and the baby. That yeah, so she's in protective mode of them. And Dina's like, no, we're in this together. I forget she has a line. I didn't write it down. Um, but yeah, they're a team. They're gonna do this.
yeah. Dina continues to be Ellie's ride or die.
Love it. So good. Yeah, she's the best. That is the end of the episode. What did you think of this episode as a whole?
So I did enjoy getting more of the WLF, the Wolves, because you again in the game you see a lot of it from Abby's perspective and Ellie's perspective. But to see more of Isaac, because Jeffrey Wright's great, he's great
He's
in
great.
everything.
He's the voice in the game too, right?
He's the voice in the game,
Right. Yeah.
which I didn't quite remember until I saw him. I was like, oh yeah. Getting to see a little bit more of the backstory of the Seraphites and the Wolves, like their conflict, is great. It really fleshes out things that were not necessarily a part of the story of the game.
Sure. I'm really enjoying it. Like, they just took it in a direction. I mean, it's been every episode's good. So like there's no surprise that this one is also good. But it really feels tense and beautiful and shocking. I can't believe there's only 3 episodes left to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Was there anything in this episode that stood out to you as the best, or what was the best video game moment, or the most video game moment? I
I
think
mean, the most video game moment for me was Dina looking through the empty shell or empty drawers
for real, like right up front.
because it is constantly just empty drawers, empty shelves, empty cabinets, and then once in a while you'll find something.
Oh my
Um,
god.
that is what I felt most like the game. Obviously, like the action sequences are great. The stuff in the subway is a lot lifted from the game. Even I mean, the majority of it is lifted from the game, but those action sequences in particular, uh,
That's great. All right, I have 3 options for you this week on how do you want to die. Are you ready?
I am ready.
You want to get it burned up inside of a tank? Do you want to get burned up inside Apollo 1? All right, so burned up inside of a tank, you can get saucepan death, where you just keep getting burned, like death of 1,000 saucepan burns. Um, or do you want to die inside that subway in Seattle, where you're not turned, you're just stuck with, let's say you don't die initially, but everyone around you is dead, and you're just trapped in there, like you can't move.
I mean, the quickest death I think is the first one being burned inside.
Yeah, not a great death, but
Yeah,
quick, probably
her definitely.
a couple minutes at least, though. Oh my god, all of these ones are brutal.
Yeah, well,
None of these.
I think the pan is probably the slowest. Although I'm thinking about like being buried alive with a bunch of other dead.
You
Like,
could live for like a week, maybe a couple
yeah,
days, and it would
but
just be the worst.
yeah,
Saucepan, he's burning off your nerve endings.
yeah, but like that, like how big is that pan? That pan is maybe 10 inches,
Yeah,
and he had to keep reheating it because it is copper and doesn't retain heat like cast iron.
everyone knows that.
Everyone knows. So he like it would be like he would burn a patch of skin,
Yeah,
reheat it for another couple minutes, burn another patch of skin. That would take days.
days. He'd be like looking for new patches. He's like, move your balls so I can see. uh, yeah, there's no winner here. So saucepan, it burned in the tank, or dead in the subway. You're going the tank.
I'm going tank all the way.
Tank all day in every way. Window watch was I mean, sparse but strong this week. There are 2 mentions, verbal mentions.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah. So Dina's like the window. When they're talking about sneaking into the TP station, window is mentioned, and I loved it. I was like, oh, window watch lives. And then when they try to make the escape, Ellie tries to open the window, but it won't open, and she tells Dina, "Shoot that window," and I was like, yes. Window watch. Window watch will continue because they're so important in the game. So we're keeping an extra eye out in the show. Long live Window watch. That's it. That's all we got for this week.
So I will say I watched the like coming up on next episode.
Oh, you did. Okay. Is it a flashback?
I don't think it's a flashback episode.
I'm waiting
But
for a solid flashback episode. My heart wants it, but go on.
but there is something that I think they were teasing in that next on Last of Us, um, that I'm really curious how they're gonna do. It is, let's call it an encounter in the game that
Okay.
happened. It's something that if you've played the game, you probably know what I'm talking.
This is a big moment.
In a manner of speaking, yes. But I am curious if it if it happens in the next episode. It might not happen in the next episode because there's definitely a lot of stuff that happens leading up to that moment that has not happened in the show.
Is that right? Okay. Fascinating. I can't
So
wait.
we'll see. I'm excited.
Me too. We gotta wait 6 days now.
6 days
What
now.
are we
Yeah.
gonna do? Talk about the Thunderbolts for 6 days?
I mean, we
Maybe.
might.
We might unpack the Thunderbolts for another 6 days.
All right, everyone. So, what did you think of this episode? What were your thoughts about Ethan Suplee and Ethan Embry?
Oh my god, I'm the dumbest person alive. Jesus,
Maybe
make
Ethan
that
Hunt.
the yeah, Ethan Hunt. Yeah, okay. Dumbest person alive.
Let us know in the comments below if you liked this episode. Feel free to watch some of our previous episodes where we recap and react to all the episodes of The Last of Us, and be sure to like and subscribe. But we will see you in the next episode.